When Trump took office, he set out to change global trade. He slapped tariffs left, right and center. He thought he could dictate terms. But then reality caught up and the numbers refused to cooperate. The trade war is not working, certainly not for Trump's America. But guess who is winning it? China. Chinese exports have shattered records. The latest data is out. It shows China has a trade surplus of over $1 trillion. $1 trillion. This has never happened before. And the year is not even over yet. This data covers just 11 months, January to November. So by the end of 2025, China could end up with an even bigger number because they're selling more than ever. And they're selling more despite the trade barriers. Trump has slapped tariffs on them. Exports to the US are down by 29%. Europe and Japan have imposed restrictions. Even developing countries are tightening rules on Chinese goods. And yet, Chinese exports are breaking records. How are they doing it? What is driving this export boom? Well, one big reason is China's own economy. Inside China, spending is down. People are saving more, the economy is slowing down, job creation is stagnating, the property market is still in crisis, developers are struggling with debt. So people aren't buying enough, fewer goods are selling at home. What does China do with the rest? It exports them. It dumps the surplus in global markets. And the result is an export surge. That is the first factor. That is why exports are booming. The second factor is price. From cars to chemicals, from machinery to electronics, China has been undercutting the world. They offer cheaper goods, so they sell more. Plus, the Chinese currency is weak. That's the renminbi, their currency. It has remained weak for years. And that gives China a big pricing advantage. Some reports say the renminbi is undervalued by nearly 30% against the euro. And a weaker currency helps Chinese exports. It makes them cheaper overseas. That keeps the demand high even during a trade war. That is how China is selling more to the world. And what are they selling? Well, they're selling pretty much everything, but the biggest jump in sales is from cars. And we're not talking about EVs, not electric vehicles. We're talking about petrol cars. China is exporting them. It is exporting petrol cars at record numbers. In 2020, they exported just over 1 million petrol cars, but this year, 2025, they've already sold the world 4.3 million cars. That's a 4-fold increase in just 5 years. And who's buying these cars? The developing world, countries in Latin America, Southeast Asia, Africa. China has also received more orders from West Asia and Eastern Europe. This is boosting export numbers. Plus, Beijing has found new ways around the trade restrictions. In some cases, it sells semi-finished products. The final assembly is shifted to another factory in another country. In regions like Southeast Asia, in Mexico, even in Africa. China sends the products to these countries, unfinished products. They are finished in these factories and then they're shipped all over the world, including to the US. So these goods avoid direct tariffs, but they're still very much Chinese. Long story short, despite Trump's efforts, Beijing's dominance on global trade remains intact. But India is a different story. India has been trying to wean itself off Chinese goods. The effort began after the border clash in 2020. India ran campaigns to buy local, but those campaigns are yet to deliver because India's trade with China is more lopsided than ever. Again, look at the numbers from 2024-25. Imports from China crossed $113 billion. And exports to China, just a little over $14 billion. Now do the math. The India-China trade gap is almost $100 billion. That's the biggest trade deficit India has ever had with any country. If New Delhi wants to fix this gap, it must learn from Trump's failure. Trade barriers alone won't work. What India needs is creative policy making and stronger industries at home. India should be able to make products that can compete globally. Because China is not just ahead, it is pulling further away, and at this rate, the gap will be very hard to close.
They promised glory, They delivered fear. They shaped nations. They scarred generations. From brutal purges to propaganda machines, from stolen power to violent falls from the throne. Welcome to The Dictator, a series that strips away the myth and then exposes the men behind the tyranny. History remembers their power. Firstpost reveals their truth.